Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here for Popternative, speaking to Scott and J.Lee about the Orville New Horizons premiering on Hulu June 2nd. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having us on Popternative.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. This is really cool. Scott, I think like one of my favorite things about this show is the genre bending component of it. Obviously, sci-fi is the focal point, the Orville explorations and everything. But do you notice that you signed on to a genre bending show, or did it kind of just happen?
Well, it's Seth MacFarlane. I knew it. I kind of going to happen. I knew it wasn't just going to be the classic whatever. He puts a spin on everything, and he's had this idea, guys. Remember this forever. Yeah. So this isn't like he watched all this stuff growing up, and he came up with Seth MacFarlane's version of this, and I think it's rad.
Absolutely. Yeah. J.Lee, what do you think about also the fact that there's that kind of combination of kind of what Scott just said about, when I first was introduced to the show, Seth MacFarlane, Family Guy, it was funny, it was a parody, but I'm watching this and I'm like, this has got some amazing just general sci-fi. This is paying an homage and a tribute to like a lot of amazing sci-fi. I mean, that's a pretty cool combination too, I feel like, as well.
Yeah, I've said this before. I was not a huge sci-fi person coming into the show. So I didn't know what I was getting into. Got to give my buddy Ahmed Vest a very large shout out. Of course, played Jar Jar Binks in Star Wars. And
watching it right now, dude, by the way.
Really, unbelievable, so talented. And I remember calling him like, yo, I'm an actor. I've done some stuff, but I didn't know what I was getting into. And he showed me the ropes. He gave me a lot of advice and came to visit me on set. But I just love the genre. I love the fans. I, of course, love this show. And I'm not saying that just because I'm on it. It's a lot of people who I know would have never watched this show, like myself probably, who are extreme fans of the show now.
Scott, he loves the show. Look at his hoodie.
I know, man. I got to give J.Lee this. Yeah. We get shirts. Like I got this shirt for free.
Wow.
He paid for that. He supported the show by buying that himself. I'm pretty
full price. See that Hulu? Full price.
New Horizons is going to be on Hulu June 2nd, Scott. And yeah, it's got some funny moments. It's funny, but there's a little bit of a shift. I feel like we get kind of deep in this season. You know what I mean? Did you have any conversations with Seth or the cast or the showrunners about the direction for season 3, that it was going to get a little bit more heavy, a little deep?
Kind of, I think. Yeah. I always knew that this show was going to end up being what Seth wanted it to be, which first season he had to sell. The name Seth MacFarlane went with comedy. He had to do that. But it's not the show he really wanted to do. He enjoyed that. Second season, you kind of see that. So it was such a bridge between those two things you're talking about that it wasn't a conversation we had to have. The only conversation we have is on the set when you're dealing with something. And I do have a little funny line, whether it fits or not. That's the only thing we do is like the tone of something but no, I'm on board with anything. Yes, we toned it down, but we had to. We couldn't, you're dealing with concepts here and social and political storylines that are you can't, make a joke about pizza in the middle of that, but so now I'm proud of where it went. I'm proud to have been part of the first part of it and this part of it.
I feel like, J.Lee, that happens sometimes naturally too. Like I talk to a lot of amazing storytellers like yourselves, and it basically say like, did this kind of change or this genre bending component of the funny and like the deep stuff, did it kind of just happen or did you plan on it? I feel like it just kind of just evolves and grows naturally a little bit. J.Lee, what do you think about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're in a conversation, you're at a dinner party with 6-7 people, conversations are going to shift. Love, religion, politics, life, fashion. And I think this show being able to, not that we do all of those things, but the fact that it was able to dip into some comedy, dip into some pretty heavy issues, but without it being beat you over the head, here's how you should look at things. I think it's just a testament to Seth, the writing, and what this show can do.
Right. It's a question for both of you. We'll start with Scott. You can go either way of answering it because it's a little vague, but the focal point of this show, obviously the key words is discovery and exploration. Those are the big things. Scott, what have you discovered as a storyteller working on this show, the Orville specifically?
Oh boy. Yeah, that's a really good question. What have I discovered? Well, I've discovered one that I don't really have to. I don't really have to because it's right there on the, this is one of those things that people talk about. Like I remember, when they read the Shawshank Redemption, they're like, there it is right there. I don't have to change a word. And that's this, you know what I mean? So I didn't really have anything to do with storytelling. What I had to do, which was a challenge as an actor on this show, was selling those words. So, because to make them at least as good as they're on the page. And that wasn't easy. The story, it's our job to sell that story that Seth wrote. Yep. This was the hardest show that I've ever had to do that on. So that's what I discovered and explored.
J.Lee, what about you? Discoveries, exploration. What about you?
I'm going to go a different route. I love your answer, Scott. I'll go a different route. I think as a filmmaker, our show is so dope and we have so many talented people working on the show. I learned a lot as a director. So when I wasn't shooting, I would be in Village, listening and asking Jon Cassar questions, asking Seth questions, and asking our camera ops questions. We had some really, really talented people across the board who I would love to just get, their opinion on, even second AC, I appreciate how films and TV come together. So in addition to being an actor on the show, I learned a lot as a director and how and why things are kind of shot the way they're shot.
The first thing they say to you though, J.Lee, is don't drop the camera.
Yeah, and you see what I did there. That's exactly how you're going to shoot it without a camera.
Yeah.
I'm going to take that win because that question was so vague, but you both went two different directions and gave me the best answers. So that was like the best. So I'm going to take it. I wanted to thank you both so much for coming on the show to chat about season 3 of the Orville New Horizons on Hulu June 2nd. This was great chatting with you both. Thank you so much for your time.
Having us, Petey. Appreciate you.
Right on, Pop Turn Native.
Pop Turnative. Absolutely.
I know.
Shout out to Mystery Alaska, one of the best movies of all time. Just saying.
Right on, Pop Turnative.
So much.
Thank you for tuning in to Pop Turnative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Pop Turnative on YouTube. Be sure to like Pop Turnative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.